Emily Carter glanced at her wristwatch, deftly adjusting the stethoscope that hung around her neck. 19 hours on duty, and her body was pleading for respite. Her eyes ached with intensity, her feet pulsed with discomfort, and a relentless ache in her back persisted, impervious to the effects of painkillers. Yet the emergency room at New York General Hospital offered no reprieve, particularly on rainy nights such as this. Only 20 more minutes, she whispered to herself, observing as an ambulance rolled in through the automatic doors. The autumn season in New York brought with it a deluge, an abundance of rain, and inevitably, a series of mishaps. Emily had completely lost track of the number of fractures she had treated just this week. Since completing her medical education 5 years ago, her existence had centered on the hospital. Celebrations, special occasions, and personal milestones all faded into the background when there were lives at stake. Nurse Lisa approached Dr. Carter, clipboard in hand, and said, "There's another form for you to sign." Emily let out a deep breath. "Absolutely. Has my most recent patient been discharged?" Indeed, the family arrived to collect him. "You came through once again, just like always." It was remarks like these that fueled Emily's determination, even when her body pleaded for defeat. While her classmates opted for more financially rewarding specialties with predictable schedules, she embraced the challenges of emergency medicine. Wild, erratic, yet profoundly fulfilling. 20 blocks north, in one of Manhattan's most prestigious skyscrapers, Nathan Holloway was closing his laptop after yet another video conference with global investors. The office on the 60th floor presented a sweeping vista of the glowing city, now partially cloaked in rain. The space, adorned with sleek furnishings and modern art, radiated strength and elegance. "Mr. Holloway, Victor Callahan is on the line," his secretary announced through the intercom. Nathan straightened his silk tie and smoothed his impeccably styled hair with a casual flick of his hand. "Inform him that I will return the call tomorrow. He claims it's of utmost importance." It invariably is. Nathan let out a weary sigh as he reached for his Armani coat. "Inform him that I am departing for an appointment." By the age of 38, Nathan had established a formidable real estate empire, positioning him as one of the most powerful businessmen on the East Coast. His endeavors reshaped whole communities, and his name often graced the pages of business publications and social features. Everything he laid his hands on appeared to transform into something precious, or so the whispers suggested. As Emily completed the paperwork, her thoughts drifted to the comfort of her small bed in her shared Brooklyn apartment. Meanwhile, Nathan settled into his Bentley, directing his driver to the restaurant where he would meet with potential investors for dinner. The rain grew heavier, forming a veil of water that divided these two separate realms. Emily devoted herself entirely to the well-being of others, pouring every bit of her energy into helping strangers, frequently neglecting her own needs. Nathan resided at the pinnacle, orchestrating choices that influenced countless lives, yet seldom confronting the personal repercussions of those choices. Their two lives, contrasting like the dark of night and the brightness of day, were on the brink of a dramatic intersection. As Emily organized her belongings in her locker, a sudden crash of doors being flung open echoed through the space, accompanied by a sharp shout from the receptionist. "Physician. We require a physician immediately." Driven by an inner urge, Emily dashed toward the noise, her fatigue briefly set aside. At the emergency entrance, a man stumbled, gripping his stomach tightly. Crimson liquid oozed through his fingers, tarnishing what seemed to be a costly suit. His complexion was ashen, and his eyes were filled with terror. In an instant, the man crumpled to the ground, creating a stark pool of crimson that stood out against the pristine white tiles of the hospital. "Gurney!" At this moment, Emily shouted, hurrying to the stranger and pressing her fingers against his neck to feel for a pulse. "He continues to live on. Emergency in Trauma Room 1. As the team carefully moved the man onto the stretcher, Emily caught sight of an object slipping from the pocket of his suit. A prestigious access card bearing the name of a distinguished office building. The name inscribed on the card was Nathan Holloway. The tempest raging outside paled in comparison to the upheaval that was poised to invade Emily Carter's existence. Nurse Lisa announced, "Blood pressure is dropping to 80 to 50. Emily moved with precision, her hands unwavering even in the face of the weariness that had weighed on her just moments before. The individual on the table, identified as Nathan Holloway by his ID card, was rapidly losing blood from what seemed to be a gunshot wound to his lower abdomen. "Type and cross for 4 units, Emily instructed. "Please arrange for an ultrasound to be done. I must determine whether there is any internal bleeding present." The trauma room hummed with a palpable sense of focused intensity. In contrast to the tumultuous depictions found in medical dramas, actual emergency medicine unfolds as a meticulously orchestrated performance of accuracy and effectiveness. Emily advanced with determination, her thoughts entirely centered on the objective before her. She noted the absence of an exit wound, meticulously assessing the patient. "The bullet remains lodged inside. Prepare the CT and notify the surgical team." While the team focused on stabilizing him, Emily observed additional unusual injuries. Wounds of defense etched upon his hands, bruises marking his ribs, a gash above his eyebrow. This wasn't merely a shooting. It appeared as though he had endured a brutal struggle prior to being shot. "Dr. Carter," one of the nurses murmured, "should we contact the authorities?" Emily paused for just a moment. The protocol approved, yet the urgency of this man's arrival caused her to hesitate. He didn't arrive in an ambulance. He had pulled himself to the hospital, indicating he was fleeing from something or someone. "First, let's ensure he is stable," she resolved. "Then we can proceed with the call." After 2 hours and an emergency surgery, Nathan Holloway lay stable yet unconscious in the recovery room. The bullet was extracted, fortunately avoiding any critical organs, although he had bled extensively. Emily lingered at his bedside, examining his chart with focused intent. The surgical team had performed admirably, yet she couldn't dismiss the nagging sense that this man's tale held deeper layers beyond a mere act of violence. "You really ought to head home, Dr. Carter," Lisa suggested, materializing beside her. "Your shift concluded 3 hours prior," yet Emily acknowledged it with a nod, remaining still. "I wish to be present when he opens his eyes. That might take quite some time." "I understand." Emily took a seat. "I think I'll take a moment to close my eyes." She drifted into slumber unwittingly, the fatigue at last taking hold of her. The sudden rustle of sheets jolted her awake. The soft glow of dawn seeped through the blinds, creating elongated shadows that danced across the recovery room. Nathan Holloway stirred, his striking green eyes scanning the room with a sense of urgency. "You're in the hospital," Emily murmured gently, leaning closer. "You've sustained an injury, but rest assured you'll pull through." His eyes fixed on her, sharp and discerning. "May I ask who you are?" "Dr. Emily Carter. I took care of you when you arrived last night." He attempted to rise, but a sharp pain caused him to flinch. "Simple," she cautioned. "A recent surgical procedure has been performed to extract a bullet from your abdomen." "I must go," he declared, his tone gritty yet authoritative. At that moment, Emily's expression darkened. "That can't be done. Your body has endured significant loss, and it requires time to heal and regain strength." "You don't understand," he insisted, his gaze darting toward the door. "It lacks safety. What transpired with you, Mr. Holloway?" He felt a flicker of surprise as his name was spoken. "She explained that your access card had slipped out of your pocket. We required your identification for our records." A fleeting glimpse of emotion, fear and anger flickered across his face. "Have you reached out to anyone, perhaps the authorities?" "Not at this moment. It is mandated by hospital protocol for cases involving gunshot wounds. However, I wish to converse with you before anything else." He appeared to ease up slightly. "Thanks a lot. But I require some answers," Emily insisted. "Who caused this to happen to you? It might be best to remain unaware. I have just preserved your existence. I believe I am entitled to at least that much." Nathan observed her intently, contemplating his choices with careful consideration. At last he let out a deep breath. "A person I believed in revealed their true colors, proving to be unreliable. That seems rather unclear." A fleeting smile graced his lips. "This is all I have to offer you at the moment." Just as Emily was about to reply, the door swung open and Lisa walked in, carrying a tray filled with medication. "Oh, you're awake," she remarked, taken aback. "How do you find yourself today, Mr. Holloway?" "It feels like I've been shot," he responded with a flat tone. With a gentle smile, Lisa made her way to his bedside. "Dr. Carter has remained by your side throughout the night. She even dozed off in that awkward chair." Emily sensed a flush rise to her cheeks. "I was simply fulfilling my responsibilities." As always, Lisa went the extra mile, commenting while she administered his pain medication. "I will inform the attending that you are awake." Once she departed, an uncomfortable stillness enveloped the space. "Did you really stay the entire night?" Nathan finally inquired. Emily gave a slight shrug. "I just wanted to check in and ensure you're okay." Additionally, there were questions that remain unanswered. "Actually, that's not the case." He moved, grimacing once more. "Your efforts are truly valued, Dr. Carter." "Indeed. However, the less you understand about my true self, the more secure you will feel." "Are you implying something menacing?" "Caution," he amended. "There are individuals searching for me, and they will not be pleased that I am still alive." Emily's medical instincts clashed with her curiosity. "I must bring this to your attention, Mr. Holloway." "Nathan," he spoke, "and I comprehend. All I need is a few hours. Kindly." In his gaze, there lingered a hint of vulnerability hidden beneath a tough facade, causing Emily to pause. Despite her reservations, she acquiesced with a nod. "Take a break. I'll follow up with you later." As she exited his room, Emily was acutely aware that she was defying the established rules. Whatever predicament Nathan Holloway found himself in, she had just quietly consented to join him in it. The inquiry was, at what price? She cast a fleeting look over her shoulder, catching sight of him gazing after her, his face a mask of ambiguity. A sense of foreboding washed over her, hinting that her life had just taken a turn for the infinitely more complicated. Upon her return to the hospital the following evening for her shift, Emily's first action was to inquire about Nathan Holloway. She attempted to find rest in the daylight hours, yet her thoughts persistently drifted back to the enigmatic figure and his puzzling caution. "Lisa, how is the patient with the gunshot wound from last night doing?" she inquired, attempting to maintain a nonchalant demeanor as she donned her white coat. Lisa glanced away from the screen, her brow furrowed in confusion. "How peculiar. I was merely verifying that. The system indicates that he sought an early discharge contrary to medical advice." "Excuse me? That can't be done. He recently underwent significant surgery." "I understand." Dr. Peterson seemingly attempted to dissuade him, yet he proceeded to sign all the release forms, accepting full responsibility. Emily sensed a tightness coiling within her abdomen. When did this occur? At approximately midday today. Without a moment's hesitation, Emily rushed to the recovery room where she had left Nathan. The bed lay vacant, its crisp sheets meticulously arranged, suggesting that no one had ever occupied the space. A folded piece of paper lay on the small bedside table, partially hidden beneath the lamp's glow. She cast a furtive look to ensure she was alone before reaching down to retrieve it. "I am deeply grateful for your intervention that changed everything for me. I look forward to repaying the kindness someday." No signature provided. Only those two straightforward sentences, crafted in a clear, refined style. Emily clenched the note in her hand, a sense of betrayal washing over her. She had jeopardized her professional standing by postponing the police report, while he had vanished without offering any reasonable justification. "Is everything all right?" Lisa stood framed in the doorway. With a swift motion, Emily tucked the note into her pocket. "All right. I'm quite taken aback that he departed so quickly." Wealthy individuals, Lisa shrugged, believe they have more insight than medical professionals. In the following fortnight, Emily immersed herself in her tasks, seeking to push Nathan Holloway from her mind. Yet, in the stillness that followed the chaos, she often found her thoughts drifting to him, pondering the fate that had befallen him. Did he manage to endure his audacious exit? Had he found safety from the one who had attempted to end his life? On a particularly hectic Friday, Emily finally found a moment to enjoy her lunch break. The hospital cafeteria buzzed with activity, prompting her to finally check out the quaint bistro just across the street that had been on her list for months. Upon her arrival, she was immediately captivated by the stark difference from the hospital, gentle lighting, refined decor, and the soothing hum of professional discussions instead of the incessant beeping of medical devices. This was undoubtedly a venue for Manhattan's upper crust, not typically visited by medical personnel in scrubs and practical footwear. Just a table for one, please? The hostess inquired with a courteous smile. Absolutely, I would love that. As Emily trailed behind the hostess through the restaurant, her gaze swept across the room instinctively, a practiced awareness honed by her profession. And then she laid her eyes upon him. Nathan Holloway occupied a corner table, flanked by two men clad in luxurious suits. He appeared entirely transformed from the desperate, bleeding figure who had staggered into her ER. Now he was impeccably polished, authoritative, clad in what she presumed to be a tailored suit. The vulnerability she had observed was nowhere to be found. Emily stood still, prompting the hostess to glance back with a curious expression. Is everything okay, madam? Just as Emily was about to reply, Nathan lifted his gaze. Their gazes locked from opposite ends of the room, and she witnessed the transformation of his demeanor from calm to astonished in a heartbeat. For a brief instant, neither of them stirred. With a soft murmur to his friends, he rose and approached her. Dr. Carter, he said, his voice subdued and more measured than she recalled. Mr. Holloway, it appears you have made an impressive comeback. A fleeting expression of guilt, maybe, flickered across his face. An explanation is due to you. You don't owe me anything? Emily said with a cool detachment, her awareness sharpening as she noticed how out of place she appeared in her hospital scrubs. I was simply fulfilling my responsibilities. I would be delighted if you could join me for lunch. She glanced at his table, where the two men observed them with open interest, and remarked, You seem busy. They may hold off, I insist. Despite her reservations, Emily allowed herself to be guided to a quaint table by the window, distanced from Nathan's colleagues. You really shouldn't have left the hospital, she remarked after they settled into their seats. Complications and infections might have arisen. The bullet wound was quite severe. He responded that private medical care had been arranged. I was unable to remain at the hospital. Safety was not guaranteed. Emily inclined her body, eager and attentive. What sort of predicament are you facing, precisely? Nathan observed her intently for a moment before responding. I work in the field of real estate development. At times, that entails creating adversaries. Adversaries that fire upon you and abandon you to your fate. New York can be a ruthless environment. His effort at wit missed the mark. This is serious, Nathan. An attempt was made on your life. He appeared taken aback by her use of his first name, yet he regained his composure swiftly. I understand, and I'm taking care of it. By dining in a public restaurant, demonstrating my lack of fear, he argued that vanishing would merely portray me as weak. Emily couldn't believe what she was hearing. Proper goodbye would have been appreciated. Would you have allowed me to go if I had? As she prepared to speak, the waitress interjected, inquiring about their order. Nathan made the selections for both of them without seeking her input, which annoyed Emily even though his choices were spot on. Once the waitress had departed, Emily observed the two men from Nathan's table rising to take their leave. They cast a fleeting look their way before making their exit from the restaurant. Your companions seem rather discontent. They're not my friends, Nathan said, his expression clouded with intensity. They are connected to Victor Callahan. And who might that be? My business partner, or rather, my former business partner, he quickly amended himself, and the man who seeks my demise. Emily was rendered speechless by the sheer directness of his remark. This was not the reality she recognized. Her challenges centered around preserving lives, rather than evading assassination plots from associates. What makes you share this with me? At last she inquired. For you saved my life, he stated plainly. Seeing you walk in here made me realize that my hasty departure from the hospital could have put you at risk as well. Emily experienced a shiver that coursed down her spine. What type of threat are we discussing? Nathan inched forward, his voice soft and hushed. Dr. Carter, I believe it's crucial for you to exercise caution regarding whom you discuss me with. I'm beginning to think that our encounter was perhaps more intentional than it appeared. Emily gazed intently at Nathan, absorbing his words. The lively restaurant surrounding them gradually blurred into the background as the weight of his words began to resonate. Are you implying that I was singled out? She inquired, her voice barely above a whisper. That's absurd. I had no idea who you were until you arrived, injured, in my emergency room. Nathan replied, his eyes discreetly scanning the restaurant, not implying anything definitive. In my observation, instances of coincidence are infrequent in circumstances such as these. What kind of situations are you referring to precisely? You still haven't clarified what's truly happening. The waitress arrived with their drinks, plunging them into an unexpected hush. After she departed, Nathan paused to take a sip of his water before proceeding. Together, Victor Callahan and I established Holloway Callahan Developments. A decade of collaboration, countless properties spanning the city. Half a year ago, I uncovered inconsistencies in our financial documentation. Was he taking things from you? Less favorable. He was exploiting our company to facilitate money laundering for some extremely dangerous individuals. When I faced him, he presented me with an ultimatum. Align with him or forfeit it all. Emily's analytical mind engaged, scrutinizing his narrative for discrepancies, much like she would examine a patient's symptoms. It seems you opted for neither, am I right? I began to collect evidence discreetly. 2 weeks ago, my source at the FBI informed me that Victor had found out about my activities. That evening, I was trailed by 2 men after leaving my office. I believed I had successfully evaded them. He motioned toward his midsection. Clearly, I made a mistake. Their food arrived, providing Emily with a brief pause for contemplation. The narrative felt implausible, reminiscent of a cinematic tale rather than an authentic experience. Nevertheless, the bullet wound she had attended to was undeniably genuine. What is the reason for sharing this with me? She finally inquired, absent-mindedly rearranging the food on her plate. I'm merely a physician who was on duty when you arrived. I noticed those men conversing with you at the hospital just before I departed. Emily's fork clanged against her plate. Which men? While you were off duty, 2 of Victor's associates made a visit to the hospital. Inquiries were made about me at the nurse's station. One of them explicitly brought up your name. A chill enveloped her. Emily remembered the day that followed Nathan's disappearance. 2 elegantly attired gentlemen had approached her regarding a patient, asserting that they were relatives. She had revealed nothing, invoking hospital policy, yet they had departed, leaving her with a sense of discomfort. She spoke softly. They claim to be your family. Nathan's jaw clenched. I lack any family, Dr. Carter. The men were in Victor's employ, and their purpose was to complete what they had begun. So what was stopping them? The hospital's security measures are quite limited. They had the potential to do so. Excessively exposed. Excessive observers. They favor neat, detached occurrences that resemble mishaps or botched thefts. Emily set her fork aside. Her hunger vanished. What comes next? Am I at risk because I helped you? I'm not sure, Nathan confessed. However, I felt it necessary to give you a heads up. Stay mindful of your environment. Vary your path when heading home each day. If anyone inquires about me, you cared for a gunshot victim who never woke up. Emily's mind registered that she was displaying unmistakable signs of an acute stress response. Increased heart rate, peripheral vasoconstriction, heightened awareness. The remainder of her being was merely attempting to comprehend how her mundane existence had abruptly collided with something so perilous. I ought to inform the authorities about this, she stated. Nathan acknowledged the possibility, but pointed out that Victor has ties within the department. In the absence of solid proof, it would simply come down to your account versus his. and he would be fully aware of who had directed them towards him. Emily examined Nathan's features closely. Even with his calm demeanor, she noticed the tightness in the way his shoulders were held, the subtle crease between his brows. He felt a deep fear, one that extended beyond his own well-being. "It's important for you to grasp this," she stated with conviction. "I can handle myself just fine. I have spent 5 years in the field of emergency medicine. I have encountered gang members, desperate addicts, and aggressive patients. I am capable of taking care of myself." A glimmer of respect shone in Nathan's gaze. "I understand that, but Victor stands apart. He navigates through systems, undermining them from within. That's why I'm exercising caution regarding whom I place my trust in." "So, you place your trust in me? Someone you barely know?" "Your choice to stay and listen instead of just calling for help truly made a difference in my life. Indeed, with a sense of caution, I place my trust in you." Their lunch came to a close amidst an uncomfortable silence, both unsure of how to wrap up such an unconventional dialogue. As they prepared to part ways, Nathan offered her a business card. "The back contains my private number. If you observe anything out of the ordinary, someone tailing you, odd phone calls, or anything else, please reach out to me right away." Emily grasped the card, tucking it away in her pocket. "What actions will you take regarding Victor?" "Keep collecting information. I possess the majority of what is necessary, yet I must exercise caution regarding the timing and manner of my actions against him." Outside the restaurant, the bustling New York street took on an unexpectedly foreboding atmosphere for Emily. Each fleeting passerby, each stationary vehicle might be observing them. "Allow me to take you back to the hospital," Nathan suggested, motioning towards a sleek black town car parked close by. "No," Emily responded with more edge than she had meant to convey. "I mean, no disrespect, but I believe it's best for me to take a step back from everything happening right now. I will take a stroll." Nathan nodded, a look of understanding crossing his face as he gestured across the street. "Exercise caution, Dr. Carter. I will reach out soon." As Emily strolled away, she sensed his gaze lingering on her, following her until she stepped safely into the hospital. The heft of his business card in her pocket seemed more substantial than it ought to be. Throughout the rest of her shift, Emily couldn't help but glance over her shoulder, scrutinizing the expressions of the visitors with increased intensity, and flinching a bit each time someone uttered her name. The once safe and familiar environment of the hospital had shifted into an atmosphere of uncertainty. That evening, as she got ready to depart, Emily understood with striking precision that her mundane existence had disappeared the instant Nathan Holloway fell at her feet. 2 weeks slipped by, and still there was no trace of Nathan Holloway. Emily had nearly persuaded herself that their lunch meeting was merely an odd distraction in her otherwise structured existence. Nearly there, subtle shifts in her daily habits revealed her ongoing unease. She changed up her route to work, held onto Nathan's card in her wallet, and discovered that she was habitually observing exit paths every time she stepped into a room. At one point, she hurried into a department store, convinced she had seen one of the men from the hospital, only to discover it was merely a businessman with a comparable physique. "You seem a bit off lately," Lisa remarked as they got ready for their shift. "Is everything all right?" Emily managed to put on a smile. "Just feeling worn out. I've been taking on extra shifts." "You really overdo it," Lisa remarked, shaking her head. "You ought to join us this weekend. A group of us is heading to that new club in the meatpacking district." "Perhaps," Emily responded vaguely, aware that she would ultimately turn it down. Social outings seemed to present unwarranted dangers at this point. The emergency room buzzed with activity that night. A multi-car accident had resulted in several critical patients, and Emily navigated from one trauma room to another with a sense of practiced urgency. As the clock approached midnight, she found a moment to exhale at last. "Dr. Carter," the unit secretary called out while Emily was busy updating a patient chart. "A delivery awaits you at the front desk," the receptionist announced. Confused, Emily headed towards the reception area. A uniformed courier stood patiently, holding a small package. "Is this Emily Carter?" he inquired. "That's me," Please sign here. The envelope was a simple manila package, lacking any return address. Emily held off until she found herself alone in the break room before she finally opened it. Within the confines lay a solitary USB drive accompanied by a note. View this in solitude. Annihilate it afterward. NH. Emily gazed at the items, her heart pounding. She ought to hand this over to the authorities right away. Whatever Nathan was entangled in, she desired no involvement in it. She tucked the envelope into her locker, attempting to concentrate on her remaining patients. 3 hours later, as her shift wrapped up at 3 a.m., she grabbed the package and rushed to her car. The streets of New York were never completely deserted. Yet at this hour, they were as serene as they could be. Emily glanced at her rearview mirror repeatedly while driving to her apartment, half anticipating the sight of headlights trailing her. Once she stepped into her humble Brooklyn apartment, she secured the door with a double lock and pulled the blinds shut before plugging the USB drive into her laptop. A solitary video file materialized on the screen. Emily paused, her cursor suspended above the file. Was she truly ready to take this step? To entangle herself deeper in the perilous game Nathan was orchestrating? The Hippocratic oath echoed in her mind. First, do no harm. As she watched, she wondered if she was causing herself harm. Taking a deep breath, she pressed play. The video revealed what seemed to be security footage from an underground parking garage. The timestamp in the corner indicated it was recorded 3 weeks ago, the night before Nathan showed up in her ER. For a few moments, silence reigned. Suddenly, Nathan entered the scene, making his way toward a vehicle. From behind, 2 men drew closer to him. Even in silence, Emily sensed the menace directed at him. Nathan pivoted, his stance protective.
À dialogue unfolded.
One of the men drew a firearm. Nathan surged ahead, wrestling with the man holding the weapon. In the midst of their clash, the gun discharged. The second man entered the fray, striking Nathan's ribs and face with a series of blows. Emily winced, remembering the bruises she had seen during his examination. Even though he was outnumbered, Nathan found a way to break free and escape. The gunman discharged his weapon once more, causing Nathan to falter, yet he pressed on until he was no longer visible to the camera. The footage concluded, succeeded by another file. This one contained a sequence of images depicting the 2 assailants in conversation with Victor Callahan at what appeared to be an exclusive club. In one image, Callahan was presenting them with an envelope. A text document appeared next. These men are employed by Victor. The taller figure is James Mercer, a man with a military background. Beside him stands Derek Lowe, who once served as an enforcer for the Costello crime family. For the past 2 years, both have been under Victor's exclusive employment. I'm sharing this to ensure you grasp the gravity of the situation. Keep our meeting confidential. Emily shut the files, a wave of nausea washing over her. The evidence was undeniable, clear as day. Nathan's tale held weight. An attempt on his life had been made, and it seemed linked to his business partner. She removed the USB drive and, adhering to his guidance, shattered it, snapping it in 2 and rinsing it under hot water until the pieces came apart. Rest was unattainable after that. Emily positioned herself by the window, observing the sky slowly brighten as morning drew near. Her phone chimed with a text message from an unfamiliar number. Did you receive my package? Please confirm you're safe. Emily gazed at the message, her mind racing. How did Nathan obtain her number? Most likely from the hospital. He appeared to have connections all over. I received it, she replied. I'm fine. 3 dots appeared. Then, I apologize for bringing you into this, but it was important for you to be aware. Those men, she responded. Have they been searching for me? The reply arrived swiftly. Not yet. However, Victor is growing increasingly desperate. I'm on the verge of collecting all the necessary proof to take him down. When will it happen? Soon. In about a week or 2. Until then, we should keep our distance. For your safety, Emily hesitated, then typed, Why did you really send me that video? Several minutes ticked by before the response arrived. Because I can't stop thinking about our lunch. Ever since that night in the ER, you've been on my mind constantly. I can't shake the feeling of responsibility for the risk you faced. I long to see you again, but the timing isn't right at the moment. The sudden candor caught Emily off guard. Before she could gather her thoughts, another message popped up. Erase this chat. I'll reach out once it's done. Emily complied with the directive, yet a part of her resisted taking orders from someone she hardly knew. Nevertheless, the visuals from the video were etched in her mind. The turmoil, the anguish reflected in Nathan's gaze as he struggled for survival. Later that morning, as Emily succumbed to a restless slumber, her final thought lingered on the necessity of keeping her distance from Nathan Holloway and his perilous existence. Yet, it appeared that destiny had different intentions. The hospital cafeteria hummed with its typical lunchtime vibrancy as Emily absent-mindedly consumed her salad. 5 days had slipped by since the USB drive incident, each one a meticulous dance with anxiety. She found herself scrutinizing faces more intently, observing the finer points. A lingering gaze, an individual who seemed to pop up in various locations. The same vehicle stationed on her street 2 times within a week. You look like you haven't slept in days, Lisa said, sliding into the seat across from her. What's going on with you lately? Emily pushed her food around with her fork, feeling overwhelmed. You understand the struggle. Lisa had her doubts. This goes beyond mere work-related tension. You've been on edge, easily sidetracked. Is someone troubling you? An ex or something? Nothing like that, Emily reassured her, managing a smile. I promise I'm okay. Well, you should be aware that people are whispering. Dr. Peterson noted that you've been asking about various exit routes from the hospital. Security brought it to his attention. Emily experienced a sudden surge of concern. She was unaware that her precautions were so apparent. I just enjoy the variety, she said weakly. Lisa leaned in closer, her voice lowering. Emily, if you're facing any difficulties, I'm not. Emily cut in more abruptly than she meant to. Noticing Lisa's pained look, she adjusted her tone. Honestly, I'm just dealing with some personal matters. Nothing serious. Just as Lisa was about to reply, Emily's pager buzzed. Saved by the bell, she murmured, glancing at the message. A wave of trauma cases is arriving. I need to leave. The emergency situation revealed itself as a 3-car collision on the Brooklyn Bridge, and Emily felt a sense of relief at the diversion. For 6 consecutive hours, she immersed herself in her work, her thoughts solely on the patients before her. It was after 8 p.m. when the final victim was stabilized and moved to surgery. Emily made her way to the doctor's lounge, weary yet fulfilled. This was her purpose: to assist others, to preserve lives, to create a meaningful impact that was both palpable and significant. Suddenly, her phone chimed with a text notification. Unfamiliar number. Switch on the news. Emily scowled but extended her hand toward the remote, activating the modest television nestled in the corner of the lounge. A breaking news banner flashed across the screen. Prominent developer Victor Callahan has been arrested on multiple charges. The voice of the news anchor resonated throughout the room. In a startling turn of events this evening, real estate tycoon Victor Callahan has been apprehended by federal agents. According to sources, the allegations against him encompass money laundering, racketeering, and conspiracy to commit murder. This arrest follows the revelation of incriminating evidence provided by an anonymous informant. Emily gazed at the screen, her heart racing. It was unfolding. Nathan had accomplished it. He had taken down Victor Callahan. Her phone chimed once more. It's finished. Could we arrange a meeting? Emily paused, her rational mind insisting that deepening her connection with Nathan Holloway was a mistake. However, another part of her, one she wasn't quite prepared to scrutinize, yearned for another encounter with him. When and where? She replied. Tonight, 11 p.m., the rooftop bar at the Shelton. Request the secluded table. Emily checked her watch. She could make it if she departed promptly. But was it the right choice? With Callahan in custody, was the threat truly behind her? Her fingers acted before doubt could creep in. I'll be there. Once her shift was over, Emily returned home to freshen up and change her clothes. As she faced her closet, a wave of self-consciousness washed over her. She reminded herself that this wasn't a date. This was, what exactly? A debriefing? An ending? She chose a simple black dress, elegant enough for the Shelton, yet not so formal that it implied anything beyond a meeting between acquaintances, friends, two individuals linked by extraordinary circumstances. The Shelton was one of Manhattan's most exclusive hotels, its rooftop bar providing panoramic views of the city skyline. As instructed, Emily requested the private table and was guided through the bustling main area to a secluded corner partially concealed by decorative foliage. Nathan stood as she neared, appearing more relaxed than she'd ever seen him. The constant strain in his shoulders appeared to ease, though it lingered. "You came," he remarked, a hint of astonishment in his tone. "I was curious," Emily responded, settling into the chair across from him. "It appears that congratulations are warranted. I caught wind of the news." Nathan nodded, a faint smile flickering at the corners of his mouth. "It succeeded. All the proof is now in the hands of the FBI. Victor won't find a way to escape this predicament." "Is it truly finished?" "Largely. There will be hearings, accounts. Yet the urgent threat has subsided." A server glided over with 2 glasses of champagne. "Mr. Holloway assumed we were in the midst of a celebration," she clarified, placing them gently on the table. Once they were once more in solitude, Nathan lifted his glass. "To new beginnings." Emily clinked her glass against his, but didn't take a sip. "I have questions first. I anticipated nothing short of this from you, Dr. Carter." "Emily," she interjected, "I believe after all we've been through, we can use first names." "Emily," he echoed, as though gauging the sensation of it. "Feel free to inquire about anything. What brought you to my hospital that night?" "There are nearer emergency rooms to the location of the attack." Nathan placed his glass down. "My thoughts were clouded. Blood was seeping away. I felt lost. However, I was aware that Victor had ties at Mount Sinai and New York Presbyterian. Your hospital appeared to be a more secure option. And then there were those men who came searching for you. Victor's final, frantic effort to locate me. When that didn't succeed, he grew increasingly wary. That's why I believed you would remain safe as long as we kept our distance." Emily took a delicate sip of her champagne, pondering his words. "And now? What unfolds now, Nathan? Now I reconstruct. My business, my standing, my existence." He paused, locking eyes with her. "I would like to express my gratitude to the doctor who rescued me, if she permits it." The chemistry between them was unmistakable. Emily had sensed it from that initial clear exchange in the hospital room. Yet was the allure strong enough to connect their disparate realities? "I'm not certain that's wise," she replied thoughtfully. "Our lives are quite distinct." "They don't have to be," Nathan replied. "At least not entirely. I believe there's potential for us to connect if you're open to it." The city lights twinkled beyond the glass barriers of the rooftop, a reminder of life moving on while their own lives had been momentarily disrupted. During one dinner, Emily found herself speaking up. A true connection, free from dark schemes or hidden devices or cryptic communications. Simply 2 individuals discovering one another. Nathan's smile was sincere this time, lighting up his eyes. "I would appreciate that." As the glasses clinked once more, Emily felt a swirl of uncertainty. Was she on the brink of a monumental error or stepping into something remarkable? Only time would reveal the truth. A month after Victor Callahan's arrest, Emily stood before her bathroom mirror, a frown etched on her face as she scrutinized her reflection. This would be her 4th dinner with Nathan, and somehow it felt more significant than the others. Tonight, he was taking her to his penthouse apartment, a line they hadn't yet crossed. "It's just dinner," she reassured her reflection, smoothing down her dress. But it wasn't merely dinner, and she was well aware of that. Their earlier outings had been meticulously planned events in public venues. A cozy French bistro, a jazz club, a stroll through Central Park, capped off with coffee at a charming cafe. Each occasion, Nathan had been attentive, charming, and unexpectedly relatable for someone who owned a multitude of skyscrapers. Emily had begun to feel a growing fondness for him, despite her earlier doubts. Beneath Nathan Holloway's refined facade, the real estate mogul revealed a surprising complexity. A man who dedicated his time to a children's hospital, possessed a true enthusiasm for architecture, and could recite obscure medical journals simply out of a desire to comprehend the world around him. Her phone vibrated with a message. Car waiting downstairs whenever you're ready. No hurry. Naturally, he had arranged for a car. Emily picked up her purse and cast a final glance in the mirror. The woman gazing back at her appeared altered in some way. Still Emily Carter, devoted physician, yet there was something fresh in her eyes. Maybe it was anticipation, or perhaps uncertainty. The polished black sedan brought her to one of Manhattan's most esteemed locations. As the elevator rose to the penthouse, Emily felt a flutter of nerves in her stomach. The doors parted to unveil Nathan's apartment, a space that was both striking and subtly elegant. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcased a panoramic view of the city, while modern furniture in soft, muted tones complemented the space. The walls were adorned with what seemed to be original artwork. Emily noticed Nathan as he approached from around the kitchen island, casually dressed in dark jeans and a simple button-down shirt. Sleeves rolled up, showcasing strong forearms. "You look stunning. This place is absolutely amazing," she remarked, briefly taken aback by the opulence of the apartment. "It's just a space," he replied, taking her coat. "But I'm glad you like it." Nathan guided her to the kitchen, where several pots simmered on the stove. "You cook?" Emily asked, her surprise evident. "Don't act so surprised," he chuckled. "I didn't come from privilege, you see. I was raised in Queens by a single mother who juggled 3 jobs. Out of necessity, I picked up cooking." This revelation was unexpected. In earlier discussions, Nathan had been meticulous about staying in the moment, seldom exploring his history. Emily noted that he had never brought it up before. Aside from the glass of wine he had offered, there wasn't much to share. Just a typical rags-to-riches tale. A determined individual puts in the effort, finds fortune, and thrives. He mixed something that wafted a delightful aroma of garlic and herbs. Yet, this evening isn't focused on my mundane beginnings. How was your day? Quite hectic. 3 car accidents, 1 construction injury, and a child who decided it would be amusing to test his flying abilities from the garage roof. Did he succeed? Nathan inquired, maintaining a serious expression. Emily couldn't help but smile, even if it was against her better judgment. Not quite there. A fractured arm and an important lesson learned. Dinner unfolded on the terrace, featuring handmade pasta accompanied by a sauce that Nathan insisted was his mother's secret recipe, complemented by a fine wine that Emily feigned expertise in appreciating. The dialogue meandered effortlessly, transitioning from tales of the hospital to Nathan's current building endeavor, culminating in a spirited discussion over the merits of New York pizza versus Chicago deep dish. It was during dessert, a rich chocolate mousse that Nathan confessed he had bought from a patisserie, that the conversation shifted to a more serious note. "The FBI called me today," Nathan said, his demeanor turning grave. "Victor's trial starts next month. They want me to testify." Emily placed her spoon aside. "What are your thoughts on that?" "Torn. A part of me yearns for him to face the repercussions of his actions. Yet another part longs to leave it all in the past." He gazed out at the twinkling city lights. Our company represented something deeper than mere transactions. Victor felt like family to me for a decade. "It's natural to experience feelings of betrayal," Emily remarked softly. "Trust is a rare gift, particularly from someone of your caliber." Nathan's gaze returned to her. "Someone of my caliber? Someone who weighs every possibility? Who strategizes far into the future? I suspect you keep most at a distance to shield yourself from pain." He observed her intently for a prolonged moment. "You notice many things, Emily Carter. It's what contributes to my effectiveness as a physician." "And what about us?" he inquired, the question lingering in the cool night air between them. "What do you perceive here?" Emily felt a flutter of nervousness. "I see 2 individuals from distinct realms who have somehow intersected. I recognize the possibilities, yet challenges?" he offered, Indeed, your existence is vast. Mine is concentrated, limited. In my small part of the city, I focus on saving one life at a time. You, on the other hand, construct empires. Nathan extended his hand across the table, his fingers lightly grazing hers. Perhaps that's precisely why this functions so well. We complement one another. Just as Emily was about to reply, Nathan's phone began to ring. He cast a quick look at the screen, his brow furrowing. I need to answer this. It's my security team. Emily nodded, observing him as he moved to take the call. His demeanor shifted, shadows creeping into his features as he absorbed the words, his posture tightening with every heartbeat. When? He insisted. Are you sure? Elevate security at all locations right away. Also, dispatch someone to Dr. Carter's apartment complex. Emily remained standing as he concluded the call. What's going on? Nathan faced her, his earlier calmness evaporating. James Mercer and Derek Lowe, the ones who assaulted me, have been granted bail while awaiting trial. Is it really possible for them to get away with that after everything? It seems their lawyer made a convincing case that they were just small-time participants in Victor's operation, and someone stepped up to cover their bail. He clenched his jaw. A significant amount of bail. Victor, Emily exhaled. Unbelievable. His funds are locked, and he's detained without the option for bail. Then who? That's what troubles me. Nathan stepped closer, his hands softly resting on her shoulders. Emily, I believe it would be wise for you to stay here tonight just to be safe. Alarm bells echoed in Emily's thoughts. It wasn't Nathan that concerned her, but rather the circumstances surrounding them. The sense of security she'd experienced over the past month had been nothing more than a mirage. Do you think they could be coming for me? She asked. Nathan hesitated. I can't say for sure, but Victor was aware of our lunch plans that day. If he's managing this from behind bars. Emily inhaled deeply, considering her choices. All right, I'll remain. Nathan felt a wave of relief wash over him. Thank you. I'll have security retrieve some of your belongings from your apartment. As Nathan coordinated the details, Emily lingered by the windows, gazing out at the city that now appeared shrouded in shadows once more. She had believed the danger was behind them, that this new chapter with Nathan could unfold free from the looming threat of violence. How mistaken she had been. Emily found herself unable to sleep. Nathan had offered her the guest bedroom, a gesture she valued for its thoughtfulness. Yet the luxurious silk sheets and plush memory foam mattress did little to calm her tumultuous thoughts. After tossing and turning for 2 hours, she finally surrendered to the restless night and stepped into the dimly lit apartment. The floor-to-ceiling windows bathed the space in a serene blue glow, with the city lights casting dancing shadows across the walls. Emily felt an irresistible pull towards the captivating view. New York lay beneath like a shimmering circuit board. Somewhere in the vastness, 2 men who had attempted to take Nathan's life roamed free once more. Sleep eludes me as well. Emily turned to see Nathan in the hallway, clad in pajama pants and a t-shirt. His relaxed outfit brought a sense of approachability that his costly suits never achieved. She confessed, I have too much on my mind. He stepped up next to her at the window. I apologize for dinner. This isn't how I envisioned our evening. It's not your fault, is it? Nathan's voice held a sharpness. My decisions, my affair, my adversaries. And yet, here you are, caught in the crossfire. Emily pivoted to confront him. I'm not just standing on the sidelines, Nathan. I take charge of my own decisions. I decided to assist you that night in the ER. I decided to meet you for lunch. I opted to be here tonight. His gaze sought hers in the soft glow of the dim light. Why? It was a straightforward inquiry wrapped in layers of complexity. Why had she persisted in seeing him, even in the face of peril and their contrasting lives? The realization struck her with a jolt of understanding. Because in your presence, I experience emotions that have long been absent from my life. A vibrant, intense moment. She inhaled deeply. You gaze at me, and it's clear you see more than just Dr. Carter. Emily stood there, feeling the warmth of Nathan's presence as he moved nearer. His hand gently cradled her cheek, and in a soft whisper, he said, "I see you." From the very start, I observed the unfolding story. The kiss that ensued felt destined, a natural progression of the tension that had simmered between them since their initial exchange in the hospital room. Emily surrendered to the moment, her hands exploring his shoulders, then gliding to his neck and through his hair. His arms wrapped around her waist, drawing her nearer. When they eventually separated, both were left gasping for breath. Nathan leaned his forehead against hers, his voice a gentle whisper. "Stay with me tonight," he urged. "Not out of fear, but simply because I long for your presence." Emily nodded, words unneeded, as he grasped her hand and guided her to his bedroom. In the soft shadows, they discovered one another, their bond intensifying with each caress, each hushed phrase. For a fleeting span of time, there was no peril, no complexities, just two souls who had uncovered something unforeseen in one another. Dawn was breaking when Emily stirred from sleep, roused by the persistent buzzing of Nathan's phone. She observed him as he answered, noting the way his back stiffened while he listened intently to the voice on the other end. "When?" he inquired, his tone laced with urgency. "How did they?" "Yes, I see. Boost security right away. I'll arrive shortly." He hung up and faced Emily, his demeanor serious. "What's happened?" she inquired, her intuition suggesting it was unlikely to be positive news. "There was a break-in at my office last night. Nothing was stolen, but my assistant discovered this on my desk this morning." He displayed a photo on his phone, a plain white card adorned with 3 words in graceful script. "Not over yet." A shiver coursed through Emily's body. The fleeting refuge they had discovered in one another's embrace was swiftly disintegrating beneath the pressure of the real world. "I have to go," Nathan declared, already beginning to put on his clothes. "I need to meet with security, review the footage." Emily nodded, wrapping the sheet around herself. "I understand. I have a shift at noon anyway." As Nathan got ready to leave, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that their fleeting moment of tranquility had been just that. A moment now fading like morning mist. A touching story of unforeseen affection between a distant, sorrowful billionaire CEO and his modest, striving housekeeper who, out of necessity, brings her baby to work. Their lives intertwine when he extends a helping hand to care for her child, uncovering his troubled history and gradually warming his icy heart. This poignant journey delves into the themes of second chances, the process of healing from loss, and the pursuit of genuine love over superficial comfort. Her poignant tale of bridging social gaps, discovering kinship in unforeseen corners, and the life-altering influence of a child's pure spirit on 2 fractured souls, as they embark on a journey of rediscovery and trust. Just 2 days after the incident at Nathan's office, Emily navigated the well-known hallways of the hospital, her thoughts torn between the patients relying on her and the tumultuous events of the last 48 hours. Security measures around Nathan had been heightened, and he had insisted on ensuring her safety too, with a subtle guard trailing her from afar, even during her work hours. Dr. Carter, representing Dr. Patricia Weber, head of the department, broke into her contemplation. "May we have a moment to discuss something?" In the director's office, Emily took a seat, her nerves on edge, pondering whether her recent preoccupation had been observed. "I have received some news from Seattle, Grace," Weber stated, a faint smile beginning to appear on her face. "Your transfer has been approved. The role of emergency coordinator is available to you if you still desire it." Emily felt her heart race. The role in Seattle, the one she had aspired to for years, the chance that could shape her future. Before Nathan came into her life, the choice would have been straightforward. "Thank you," Emily responded. When do they require my response?" "By the end of the week." "Emily, this is an exceptional opportunity. You truly deserve it." Dear readers, I trust you have relished this exhilarating adventure with Emily and Nathan. Their tale of peril, desire, and tough choices prompts us to reflect on how we might navigate such transformative decisions. Would you opt for professional growth or pursue your heart in the direction of an unforeseen romance? I eagerly await your insights in the comments below. If this romantic thriller had you on the edge of your seat, Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more captivating tales. Just like this one, we're constantly crafting new content that intertwines romance, suspense, and real-life challenges. Which country are you tuning in from to watch this video? Share your location in the comments. I'm eager to discover the reach of Emily and Nathan's story.